Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 301. So it looks like the Daily Mail has their hands on some new photos of Jeffrey Epstein and the Core Four hanging out at Little St. James. Now, these photos were provided to them and some more, I guess you would say, context about what they did on the island by a so-called insider. And the Daily Mail has a new article that just came out a couple of hours ago that shares these photos and goes into some of the details that were provided to them by this so-called insider. Now, of course, like usual, we have to beware of so-called insiders. We know there's a lot of people swimming around in the mud of this story. We know there's a bunch of disinformation. But obviously, the person who provided these photos had access to Jeffrey Epstein and his inner circle at some point. How else would they get those photos? Unless, of course, maybe they were given those photos by somebody? Who knows? Perhaps this article from the Daily Mail will hammer out all of those details. So, this article is from the Daily Mail. The headline, Exclusive. Rare photos capture Jeffrey Epstein cavorting with scantily clad young women on his pedophile island, where he provided gourmet food, luxe bedding, and beauty lotions, and spent hours watching topless teens and Girls Gone Wild for inspiration. All right, hit the brakes, hold up, full stop. Girls Gone Wild for inspiration? I'm sure most of you remember those infomercials with that douchey guy running around trying to give t-shirts away to get girls to perform various sexual acts, right? So that's who Jeffrey Epstein was sitting around watching to get inspiration from. This was one weird-ass, dorky-ass, absolutely mentally insane MF. Girls Gone Wild for inspiration. Just when you think we've heard all of the weird and wacky tales from behind the scenes, somebody shows up and they're like, hey, wait a minute, hold my latte. And next thing you know, we're hearing about Girls Gone Wild used as inspiration for Jeffrey Epstein. This article was authored by Cheyenne Roundtree. And like I said, in the article here, right when you click on the link, you'll see three pictures. One of them is Jeffrey Epstein on a jet ski with Sarah Kellen Vickers. Another one is Jeffrey Epstein sitting on a chair on the beach with Nadia Marcinkova. And the third one that you see right away is Jeffrey Epstein in a bathrobe sitting next to Sarah Kellen Vickers. So those are the first three that you see when you click on the link, and I have not read the whole article yet, so I am guessing there will be some more within this article, so we'll find out together. Jeffrey Epstein spent an hour of his day watching explicit episodes of Girls Gone Wild while working out and cavorting with nubile young women at his private Caribbean island, as seen in these photos exclusively obtained by dailymail.com. I mean, so in layman's terms, this dude was pre-gaming by watching Girls Gone Wild. He was sitting there and he was getting all fired up, ready to go by watching this dude from Girls Gone Wild try and get girls to show their body parts by giving them t-shirts or perform sexual acts. And this is how this guy was pre-gaming, huh? What a sick and twisted, mentally ill deviant this man was. The perverted financier, pedophile, who committed suicide, allegedly, at age 66 in August 2019, would ride his exercise bike as he watched the X-rated footage featuring bare-breasted college girls because it was inspiration for him, a source who spent time on the island told dailymail.com. A source who spent time on the island, huh? That sounds like a source that probably has spent more than just a little bit of time on the island. right? I'm guessing that this source, if they're to be believed, is somebody who had a lot of access to Epstein and those around him at some point. So who this source is, I am not sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if this is all 100% accurate. Jeffrey Epstein seems like the kind of dork that would be watching something like this and pre-gaming and getting all fired up watching this sort of video. He seems like the type. Epstein, who reportedly demanded sex 3 times a day, was transfixed by the graphic videos that showed young women flashing their breasts to the camera in bars and nightclubs. New details of his sinister life have further been exposed in never-before-seen photographs of his private island, Little St. James, which was dubbed Pedophile and Orgy Island by disgusted locals. And again, that little tidbit right there adds more context to the overall story. It's just another point to reference. When Denise George acts like people in the Virgin Islands had no idea what was going on. When Denise George acts like because it occurred in the Virgin Islands, therefore the territory should be entitled to some of this money. Just remember, okay, the disgusted locals even knew that it was called that it was so gross that they called it Pedophile Island and Orgy Island. So Denise George's former colleagues or the colleagues of hers that came before her didn't know. So just keep that little tidbit in mind when we're talking about Denise George in the future. Epstein appears in the series of images surrounded by nubile young women, including some who have been accused of participating in his sex trafficking ring. And it's weird that they use that word nubile again, right? That's several times it's been used. As we know, that's what Ghislaine Maxwell would say she was doing, looking for nubiles. So it's kind of interesting that word would be used here in this story. It is not clear when these photos were taken. The pedophile grins while jet skiing with bikini-clad associate Sarah Kellen, who hugs him tightly, conducts business in a bathrobe as bored Yugoslavian model Nadia Marcinkova sits nearby, and appears relaxed while on a hike with 3 unidentified women. And they're explaining some of the photos that come right after that paragraph. And again, Sarah Kellen is on the jet ski right behind Jeffrey Epstein. And it's weird, too, because Epstein's not even wearing shorts, folks. He's wearing like a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt like he's Vincent the Chin Gigante stumbling around Manhattan making pretend he's mentally ill. I don't understand. What, this guy with all his money doesn't have a pair of swimming trunks? He doesn't show his legs, skip leg day, chicken legs? What's the deal, homie? Why are you on a jet ski in some sweatpants and a white Hanes t-shirt? Does not make a lick of sense to me. Now in the next picture, we have Jeffrey Epstein once again in a pair of sweatpants with two young ladies on the left side of him, one in a blue tank top and some powder blue running shorts with looks like some type of running shoes, New Balance or Adidas perhaps, looks like Adidas. And the other girl standing next to her is in a off-white colored gray sort of tank top with some, I don't even know, like some lounger sweatpants. Those certainly aren't working out sweatpants. And then next to them is good old sick bastard Jeffrey Epstein in a cut-off, I guess you'd call it muscle shirt, walking around with some sweatpants again, and then looks like some Timberland boots with his sweatpants tucked into him, running around like he thinks he's Method Man, hanging out down in Shaolin. Very odd dude. His style was weird, his wardrobe was weird, everything about the dude was weird. And then, next to him, directly away from the other 2 girls on the other side, is Sarah Kellen Vickers, dressed in some like khaki green shorts and a tank top that looks very similar to one of the other girls walking with him. Now, the other girls who are pictured here, their faces are blurred out for secrecy. So I'm guessing that these are some of the survivors or some of the girls who are accusing Epstein of abusing them, perhaps. That would be my guess, but I'm not too sure. Now, in the picture below that, it's the one we talked about earlier. It's Epstein sitting in a beach chair with a girl who obviously is Nadia Marcinkova, she's wearing a peach-colored tank top, orange-colored tank top, and there's a bunch of other people around them. Now, I'm sure there's people that are better at zooming in and using photo programs to see if they could recognize the other people in the photo. But as far as I can tell, it's just Nadia Marcinkova and Jeffrey Epstein in this photo. And then the third photo, you go down and it's Epstein in the bathrobe, the one we were talking about, and it's actually Marcinkova sitting next to him and not Sarah Kellen. So that was my mistake earlier. The picture was very small up top. Now it's a bigger one, and you can see who it is actually. But they're sitting at this outside table, and there's a mixed drink in front of them. Looks like some aluminum foil or something there in front of them as well. And Epstein's sitting there with Marcinkova. He's in his white bathrobe. She looks like she's in some sort of sundress. And yeah, those are some of the pictures so far that are in this article. And the next one, we've seen this one before. It's Sarah Kellen and Ghislaine Maxwell. It's the one where they're standing behind the red flag with the yellow stars. Kind of looks like the Chinese flag. And then some more pictures that we have seen before after that. So make sure you click on this link and you go and check them out yourself. Kellen, now 41, worked for Epstein for 10 years and has been described as Ghislaine Maxwell's second-in-command, assistant, or lieutenant. That's pretty factual. She worked hand-in-hand with Ghislaine. She was the one that was, directing these girls on what to do after getting her orders from Ghislaine. And she could definitely be listed as a lieutenant or a second-in-command. That definitely strikes true. And if we were talking about her in mob terms, she would definitely be a capo regime, right? A captain. In a previous interview with dailymail.com, her parents voiced their fear that she could be the next person arrested in the sex trafficking ring after Maxwell was taken into custody this summer. Well, we know that the grand jury is still in session, and we know that there is amples of circumstantial evidence, enough surely to get an indictment on Vickers. So you add all of that up to everything we know already, plus the fact that her own parents are worried that she's next to get arrested, and it doesn't bode well for Sarah Kellen Vickers. Now, granted, her and her parents haven't had a relationship, according to that article we read a few weeks ago, or a few months ago at this point, I don't even know anymore, with her parents. And obviously they haven't had a great relationship. But you would think, with all of the arrows pointing in the direction of Sarah Kellen Vickers getting arrested soon, that we could expect that to happen very, very, very shortly. The insider said Epstein and Maxwell were extremely close, with Kellen always by his side. They said she was his shadow. She stayed close to him at all times with her notebook that was color coordinated, and she was constantly taking notes about anything that he wanted. Anything that he remembered throughout the day, she took notes and managed his life. She was his personal assistant. That's definitely the account we have heard from a lot of people. So the story that this alleged source is telling so far looks to pass the smell test as far as we can tell here. This stuff all looks like the typical stories we have heard about the relationship between Kellen and Epstein, and we know that they were super close. Describing Epstein's interactions with Marcinkova, now 34, and an airline pilot, the insider revealed the pair had a deep and close bond. The source revealed Nadia and Jeffrey seemed to really love each other. It was as if they had a romantic relationship. They were affectionate to each other, often holding hands. Now remember, Nadia was the girl that was allegedly sold to Jeffrey Epstein. So I can't find it in my heart to really blast her the way that I blast the other core four, if she is going to cooperate. But if she doesn't cooperate and she stays loyal to Jeffrey Epstein, she has to be punished for it, right? Now that Jeffrey Epstein is dead, now that he has no hold over her, now that he has no power to ruin her life or whatever it is he was threatening her with, if he was threatening her with anything, now is the time to come forward for Nadia Marcinkova, in my opinion. Because if she doesn't come forward and help bring justice in this case, then I think she is going to get the full wrath of the federal government's ire. The revealing pictures also paint of the solace offered on the remote island property that featured swimming pools, private bungalows, a helipad, and a private boat dock where guests could take a short ATV ride up to the major residence and bungalows where guests would stay. The billionaire's secret life at his opulent hideaway home, purchased in 1998 for $7.95 million, has been shrouded in mystery, despite claims that American politicians, Hollywood stars, and world dignitaries, including Prince Andrew, would visit as his guests. Well, I think it's been shrouded in mystery up to a point. Now we're starting to get more information almost on a weekly basis, right? We're getting new sources that come forward with information or new pictures like these that would be leaked. And so we're starting to get more information about this. But up until now and recently, right before Epstein was arrested the second time, there really wasn't much going on in the way of reporting about Jeffrey Epstein. Despite the beautiful scenes, a catalog of horrific rapes and abuse is said to have occurred there. Epstein has been accused of trafficking girls as young as 12 to the island. So there's some more pictures here. Again, Epstein and Sarah Kellen on the jet ski. It looks like got two girls on a jet ski here. No Epstein on it with them. Let's see. Another picture of Epstein on that same hike with those same two girls. Marcinkova and Epstein again on the beach. Another one of Marcinkova and Epstein on the beach. And then we have a picture of them at that table again, but it's from a different angle, and it gives you a little bit more of an idea of what's on that table. You have a phone right next to Epstein, some sort of cell phone next to Epstein. He has a notepad in front of him that he's jotting some notes down on. And Marcinkova is staring, I don't know at what, but she's staring straight ahead. One survivor previously told how she was raped up to 3 times a day during a 5-month stay and was so desperate to escape, she even attempted to swim across shark-infested waters. Sarah Ransom from South Africa previously told of her escape attempt. A shark would have been my best friend at that point. I didn't even think about it. It was just, get me away. And we've covered that here on the podcast, what Sarah went through and how she was ready to even try and swim home. She was so distraught about what was occurring on this island. And it's heartbreaking to hear that story, right? To read that, to hear what she went through. And then you think about all these people that were on this island. You mean to tell me none of them knew that any of these girls were in distress, huh? I find it very hard to believe. But on the surface, a source who spent time on the island told Daily Mail said it seemed like life on the island was like a dream come true. They added, on one side of the spectrum, it was this paradise and idyllic. But then on the opposite spectrum, the dark side was just as extreme. And that was all part of the facade, right? The face. Let's put this face on this island. Let's make it seem like it's this paradise. Let's get these people involved in this whole entire blackmail scheme. They'll come here in the afternoons and they'll think it's this great place with all of these hot girls. And then before you know it, they're caught up with their own dossiers being created on them. They added, the insider revealed that everything was catered for women, and the bedrooms had any beauty product that a female could wish for. The bedrooms were like your ideal Caribbean bungalow that you would find in a 5-star hotel suite. The linens were crisp and thick, super high-end, best quality, everything. It was the best of the best. In the bathrooms, there was sunscreen, chapsticks, razors and soaps, lotions from well-known beauty brands to manicure and pedicure equipment. I bet you there was a lot of Bath and Body Works stuff there, huh, folks? Pretty sure Jeffrey Epstein had a line to the boss over there, huh? Pretty sure he had the hookup. It was a girl's dream. The wardrobes there were dresses and shoes. Everything you needed as a young lady was accessible. Of course it was. That was all part of it, right? Let's put this whole dream scenario together. Let's dangle the carrot in front of these girls. Let's make them think they're going to live this life of opulence. Well, at the same time, it was really part of this bigger, sinister plan to groom them and prepare them for the misery that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell had prepared for them. The wardrobes in the bedrooms were full as though somebody lived there. It was like the finest hotel. In the wardrobe, there would be 3 or 4 different style dresses in several different colors. Spaghetti strap dresses, simple dressed, and in every single color. The garments were very basic standard that would fit anybody. On reflection, it's extremely creepy that he was trying to accommodate anybody of any size. Yeah, you think? I mean, so look, it just goes in, shows you a little more context here, right? What Jeffrey Epstein was up to. He was trying to make it seem like it was this dream life, get them locked in, and then bam, they were caught up in the web. And before they knew it, all of this behavior was normalized by all of these so-called elite people that were hanging around. Food was eaten at the table he can be seen sitting at. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner was served at that table outside. It was fine dining. The private chef came up with something new every day. The staff lived there on the island full time. Jeffrey loved to work out in his personal gym on the island. It was huge, about 3,000 square foot in size. There was an area to do ballet in it and a Pilates machine, which was something he was into for a bit. Well, he obviously was skipping leg day. My dude never ever took them sweatpants off or the goofy pants he was wearing, and he was obviously not focusing on doing any squats or lunges or anything of the sort. All of that gym space, all of that money, and no leg day. What an absolute shame. For guests wanting to get away from the rest of the group, there were activities for people wanting solitude. There were lots of different hiking trails. And around the island, there were different bungalows, individual cabins with beds in them. Again, it's disturbing to think what happened there. Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, I know if I was the person who buys this island, I would raze it to the ground and start over. There's zero chance I would spend 1 minute in any of these properties. There was a giant trampoline off of the dock. There was so much to do there, whether it was snorkeling, swimming, or jet skiing. After spending time on the island, the guest told how Epstein exuded power. I have never met such a self-assured, confident person in my life, and it was rightfully so because he was so powerful and he knew it. He was on top of the world. He exuded a level of confidence and security in himself. It was a little bit intimidating. And yeah, this is what we've heard from a lot of the survivors, right? They were abused by this guy who flaunted his power, his relationship with politicians and bankers and other powerful people, and did so in a manner that was very brazen and in their face. So if these girls were to think to go against him, they knew just how powerful he was and how powerful his people were. So if they moved against him, they knew that nobody was going to believe them, and they were proven right. When they tried to come forward at first, nobody wanted to believe what happened. And we see that as we're still talking about this story today, decades later, essentially. This should have come to a conclusion a long time ago. Maxwell, Epstein, and everybody else involved within the Core Four and the movement of this actual enterprise, all of these people should have been arrested a long-ass time ago, and we should not even have to talk about it. But yet, here we are, because the two-tier justice system is absolutely broken. He was very pensive, quiet, almost playful like a child. Seeing him with his guests, it was hard to believe he was like this Jekyll and Hyde character. No, not really. A lot of these people have two faces, right? The face that they show to the world, and then the face they put on when the doors close and the abuse begins. And Jeffrey Epstein most certainly was a chameleon. And he was aided in this pursuit by Ghislaine Maxwell offering him another level of credibility, another level of safety for these girls who think that would never happen to me. Look, Ghislaine Maxwell's here. She's this uppity, toity lady from England. She would never be involved in something like that. I can trust them. And that was all part of it. And in this article with these new pictures that we see here, we hearing from this alleged insider, what it does is it just adds more context, in my opinion, that Sarah Kellen Vickers must answer questions under oath, and after answering these questions under oath, she must be arrested. Because she obviously played a leadership role within this criminal enterprise, and she has a lot to answer for. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links for this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll pick it up again in the morning.